So today I wish to, I guess, inform or educate you about a new game called Battlefield 1 that's going to be coming out this month. Battlefield is, in essence, a full-out war game. It's been that way from the first Battlefield all the way till now. And they've always had competitors, Call of Duty, Medal of Honor, and this year, and most years, Call of Duty has always been its main competitor. And this year, almost, or more than 3/4 of the gaming community, is thinking Battlefield is going to be doing much better than Call of Duty. And one of the main reasons is that Battlefield listens to the community and gives them what they want. Like, Battlefield is, in essence, a World War I game this year, and has gone back to an era in history where not many games have gone before. It's going to go from the Arabic deserts all the way to the Italian coasts for its battles, large-scale battles, lots of demolition, just something that gamers have wanted for a while. Where Call of Duty has gone further and further into the future, where there's going to be space battles and going to different planets to fight. But it's not really what people have been wanting anymore, since the movement mechanics have been messing with the game. A lot more has been added to Battlefield, along with weather dynamic weather, where at one point it could be clear, you could see across the whole map, and then all of a sudden fall will roll in and the storm will come through, messing with your vision and basically blinding you. In an article called The Good, Bad, and Brutal of Battlefield 1 Open Beta, Dave Thier states that World War I was a horrific point in modern history where people drowned in their own blood, clouds of mustard gas, and where soldiers quickly discovered they had few better options to close combat weapons than their sharpened shovel. Battlefield 1 will get that point across to any younger viewers or older viewers who want to know more about World War I. Along with going back further in time to the present or to World War I, Battlefield has listened to the community that have been asking for more structural environments, more, I guess, altering terrain, so you can basically feel more immersed into the battle than ever before. And to do that, they made it so mortar shells, tank shots will destroy any building, alter the ground so you can create a foxhole from those mortar shells. And along with that, there is a specialty vehicle that will come into the map for a losing team and basically help them. And this vehicle can be destroyed and severely alter the map, making it so some areas are now off limits, and they can land or be destroyed anywhere in the map. So it basically creates a game that will always be different no matter when you play. And in the video I have, it will be showing the vehicle that I was speaking of being destroyed and basically creating something in the map that you can't get around. So that was just a short 10 second video of basically some gameplay and the destructible object that will drastically change the map for better or worse, depending on if you're winning or losing, or if you want that map to be, or part of the map to be closed up. Along with this, Battlefield has always been a large-scale battle. As stated before, it's a 64-person, all-out war fighting simulator where it's boots on the ground, soldier versus soldier, or if you want, get in a tank, get in a plane, go into air combat or tank combat, maybe even sea combat if you really want to go out there. Dave, along with what Dave was speaking or talking about in his articles, he explains that weapons are temperamental, vehicles are not exactly how you want them to move because it's World War I. They're not going to make it so it's perfect. They're not going to make it so everything works perfectly. They're going to make it as close to World War I as possible. They're going to make it so sometimes the vehicle will hit a bump and just fly off to a different direction or swerve in a different direction instead of staying completely under control. It's basically World War I, and it's trying to immerse the player in the battle more and more. Along with Battlefield being the 64-player map and battle, the competitor Call of Duty will stay 12 players, 6v6, and will not at all bring in the demolition, the immersion, anything of that sort to their game, which is another reason why Battlefield will, in the end up above Call of Duty. And in the end, so for the conclusion, Battlefield will blow Call of Duty out of the water, or any other large-scale war game out of the water, and basically be the best game of this year or the next upcoming years. And along with that, it's because it has a more advanced gaming engine, has much more gameplay. It listens to the community, and it listens to the community. And sorry, I'm just really nervous. Kind of.
It's just us.
It listens to the community and will change to what the community is asking. So if a gun or a map is kind of messing with the gameplay, or say a gun's overpowered or a vehicle's overpowered, they will change it so it will be nerfed, more accessible to other players who want to use it or basically want to destroy it. So, for my conclusion, which game will you choose? Call of Duty or Battlefield? Thank you.
All right, Doug, what did you think?
All right, I thought his thesis was clear, that he wanted to inform us about Battlefield 1. I liked his visual, but I wish we saw a little bit more of that to see exactly how that big shift would change the terrain. His point that the makers of this game listen to the fans and they're going to change it based on what the fans demand was pretty cool. It's something that Call of Duty doesn't really do. And as a fan of Call of Duty, that's been one of the things that the fans of the game have been trying to change. The 64-player battles are pretty unique. That's a lot of players to be playing on one server at one time. It's like pretty massive scale battles. He seemed a little nervous during the speech, but I think a little bit more practice would help that. That's all really.
Okay. I agree with some of the things that you said. I think there are a couple of things that we want to add here. Look, you're starting off with the purpose statement, and that's not the way to go. I think the description of the game, the background of the game, what people are looking for, that it's coming, that's the attention device. So you've got it like backwards. I'm going to tell you my topic, and then you've got all the stuff that should be your attention device coming after that. You should reverse those things. Start with the stuff that makes this interesting. I got to admit, I'm not a gamer, so I don't know all that kind of stuff. So like Douglas just mentioned, the 64 team or the 64 person game thing, I'm going, I thought these things were played by thousands of people at once. I didn't know that they had these limits. I think I need a little bit more context, a little bit about how this works, So it would have been helpful to say, these battle simulation games involve a lot of different platforms that people use. They change the graphics, they change the functions, that sort of thing. And what's going to be different about Battleground is the setting, because it's going to be set in World War I, and it's going to be altered and updated by the company in response to criticism from or feedback from the players. So that's completely different from other games that you get, where you've got a variety of other settings, what's going on, whether you're in outer space or contemporary times or even World War II. This is the first one that really does this particular kind of thing, and that's one of the things that makes it unique. And we'll talk a little bit about what the features are of that time period in just a second. Now, the feedback thing, that's really different than Call of Duty, which is the game that it primarily competes with. Because Call of Duty has never adjusted the game. Once it's released, that's the game, period, end of discussion. But Battlefield is planning on updating their game as it goes along or something like that. So give me a little bit more context that's going on there. And then give me a structure. I know I'm getting good information in the presentation, but I don't think it's very well organized, and it feels a little bit random. And so that's what a structure is going to help you do, is clarify that information. Let's talk about I don't know, if they call it a gaming platform or whatever, the scenario, the circumstances. Here's why World War I is different. And like you said, it was pretty horrific. It was often hand to hand, and even the weapons were not as important. Sometimes it mattered that you had a shovel rather than your bayonet or your gun or any of those sorts of things, because all those things could fail. And that's one of the things that's going to be produced in the game. All the things that happened to people in World War I who were fighting, the game is going to try and replicate that. So it's not going to be this perfect flowing process like you get where you are playing some of these other games where everything always works every time. You hit the reset button, you get reloaded, and the vehicles always move. And that. What's different about this game is that it's going to try and reproduce the situations of the time. Vehicles are imperfect, and here's an example of something that could happen. It's going to hit a spot, it's going to bounce around, it's going to end up pointed in the other direction, that sort of thing. I did not understand at all this whole discussion about some vehicle is going to show up and give people help. I'm thinking, oh, well, does a tank drive onto the field and guys jump out and say, shoot over there, get some more of this equipment? I don't know what that is. I have no clue. And maybe everybody else who plays these games understands that. I didn't. And when you said, and in the clip, you said they're going to see that, I'm going, well, is it the dirigible that explodes? Is that the thing that is the vehicle that you're talking about? I didn't know. Like I said, I don't know how it provides aid. So I may be an outlier for your audience because people have played these sorts of things and they know a little bit about that stuff, but I don't know any of those kinds of things, and so I think I felt I needed a little bit more context, and I needed a lot more organization. But I like the descriptions that you had in the thing, that like you said, you're talking about the scenarios that they're playing, or the problems with equipment, or guns jam, or any of those kinds of things, and that's going to be one of the things that is also feeding back in the game. Some examples about how feedback from the players is going to affect the way the game's designed. I'd like a hypothetical example or two, something along those lines, and maybe contrast it to the things that happen in Call of Duty, where they never do any of those sorts of things. If you've got an example of something from that game that everybody who plays that game is bitching about, and they said, too bad, we're not changing any of that, you know, and how it's going to be different, I think that would make it a little bit clearer. You had the visual up there. I know you're going to show the one section, but you don't show that section until the middle of the speech. So the whole time I'm sitting there looking at that picture going, okay, so this is the thing I'm going to see. You put it on pause, so I assumed I was just going to look at that one thing. And I'm going, okay, so what am I looking at? And there's no explanation of what's going on. Then when it comes in, you're actually just going to show a clip of the trailer for this thing. Okay, now I understand, except that I didn't need to see all that in the background until it was time to show it. So that's one of those things that, yeah, probably should have pushed the pick mute when you were ready to show the video so that it's not in the background as a distraction. And I'm thinking that it's going to serve some other function. I like the video clip. It was pretty dramatic. I mean, let's face it, the graphics look interesting and involving, and I'm sure that people who like the gaming stuff are going to enjoy those sorts of things. So it's very elaborate and intriguing. Of course, you don't, since the game's not out, you can't show us the things that you think are going to be important. You can just show us what's in the trailer there, so it's a little bit hard to do some of those kinds of things. But, for example, the number of player platforms, the combinations that you're talking about, when you kept talking about a map, I'm going, okay, so now it sounds like this game is played like Risk. Everybody's on a board, and you play it that way. And I'm going, okay, well, I can understand that. Is that how it's actually played? Again, I don't know that sort of thing. You know, what happens if I go off the map? You know, do I fall off the edge of the world? I have no clue. So, like I said, part of the problem, maybe I'm an outlier on some of this, and maybe everybody else understands it. All right, thank you. And the nervous stuff, I wouldn't worry about that. You'll be fine. You need more practice.